So I just showed you tangled up black yarn. I was showed this in 2021. I'm going to title this "It Was an Entanglement." Now, I don't know if that's what Jada Pinkett meant. I don't know their codes. I'm not going to try to go down the rabbit hole that they are in because I have my own rabbit hole just working on myself. You know, when you work on your real journey into highest potential, which is my other channel, you're going down the rabbit hole. Okay? When you're working on yourself, you're taking the red pill. It's not about what Neo was taking, about what Morpheus offered Neo as if somebody else is giving me a red pill. No, the red pill has to do with your own journey to your true self. Because you don't realize you might have been living your whole life as a false person, as an ego, as an entity. And to get to your true self, which is your organic soul, your real soul, not what's in us, not the solar plexus, your real soul, you gotta take the red pill. So that's a deep enough rabbit hole, because the more I found out about who I truly am, before I was in this human form, I'm going down a serious rabbit hole. And then I found out what this submarine was all about. That's a deeper rabbit hole. So just dealing with myself alone is a freaking rabbit hole. I don't need to be. So I said to say that when I say that this is an entanglement, I'm just repeating the words of Jada Pinkett that she used to describe whatever happened between Augustina and whatever went on with that. And she said it was an entanglement to make it seem like it was something going on between him and her. And I really believe what she said is code for something different anyway. But I'm going to call this an entanglement. So what I was shown when it came to, I'm going to say, the so-called black community, black people in the United States of America, because that's how this group of people are classified as black. So I'm going to say it like that because that's what they classify. And when you look at this tangled up black yarn, it's that particular classification, and you have a group of people that agree to that classification that allows for this type of mind manipulation. Listen, why is it necessary that you're forced to accept a title that somebody else has given to you for nefarious reasons? Why are you forced to accept being called black? That lets you know that being forced to be called this name, and you're given so many different names other than who you really are, other than who this group of people really are. They get called all different kinds of titles, from colored to Negro to whatever. Now black, or African Americans and black. That lets me know that it's purposely done to carry a group of people far, far, far from who they really are. And when you're able to do that, not only do you change their DNA, because you take them away from who they really are, you carry them away from their bloodlines, and you tell them that they belong to somewhere in another continent, their family somewhere in another continent. Okay? And their family might be, but you never know the story behind it, why they ended up there. But so that right there already changes your DNA, because they already got to start the process of controlling the mind. Okay? So you control the mind, you control the spirit. So people talk about black folks, what happened to your spirit? Because so much has been done. You go from being called colored to Negro to African American and to black and all this stuff, and allowing another group of people to just completely dictate what you do. They already control your mind. Somebody else was allowed to call so-called black people black. You're black now. You're this, you're that. So that means that whoever is able to label this group of people is also able to control their mind. That's just what it is. Because you took them far away from their original source. You took them away from their original source. And you connected them. And I'm talking about the people who purposely wanted to recategorize this group of people that they want to call black. Right? And purposely brought them into their type of frequency or whatever, so they can control their mind. They're basically mind control. I say that to say, in 2021, whenever this whole thing came out about entanglement, I happened to see a vision of this tangled up yarn. I happened to see a vision of tangled up black yarn. And that told me what's going on with the, not that I'm giving anybody any passes on what they do. Because at the end of the day, there still needs to be personal accountability. No matter who else has done what, there still needs to be some kind of personal accountability regardless, right? So I'm not going to just make nobody out to be victims. But at the same time, I'm clear that when that whole thing came out with Jada Pinkett and this August Alsina, I think it came out in 2021. Not too long after that, I saw a vision of this black yawn tangled up. And I immediately knew it was talking about so-called Black Americans and how they're wires in the mind, okay, in the brain, okay, because the brain is a computer. I know the brain is not necessarily in your physical head. What we think is a physical body is basically our own hallucination of a physical body, and we are programmed to believe in a materialistic world, okay? And it's really time to rise above a materialistic world. It's really time to rise, because that's like literally the most dense. You're in a materialistic world, you're actually really, really dense, okay? So it's really time to rise up above that. And so that's what I was saying. The brain is basically a computer. And I feel like whoever's in control of this thing, and somebody's in control of this consciousness, right? And I feel like they really wanted this group of people to be in all these different categories so they could do a lot of mental manipulation. And it just showed me what's really going on with a lot of so-called Black people, other than the fact that they already had their own problems way before, like thousands of years ago. So-called Black people way before always had problems anyway. They had ancestors and leaders who sold them out thousands of years ago anyway. Okay, they had leaders and ancestors and stuff who sold them out. And I also feel like a lot of Black people, their biggest problems are their ancestors. I say that over and over again. I really feel like their biggest problems are their ancestors. Because their ancestors, a lot of times their ancestors were low consciousness, could have been involved in some things that weren't great. And then they're at a level, even in another dimension, after being crossed over, they probably still haven't really learned from it. Okay, so I think a lot of times what's really wrong with a lot of Black people also is that being connected to their ancestors. But other than that, I saw that's what was happening. What's going on with a lot of Black people. I saw that entanglement, that black yarn that was entangled. Okay, and that lets me know there is a third party that is involved in a lot of psychological manipulation. Okay, even though you have people, Black people, so-called Black Americans, they might have some kind of ability to make a good decision. So I'm not going to blame everything 100% on somebody else. Somewhere along the lines, you're able to make a decision. And if not, then you're completely under control by somebody else 100%. And you're just operating as some human being, but you're really just a vessel with somebody else controlling it. But yeah, that's all I really got to say. I was shown that last year, and then again, just today, I was shown it again. So, like, I was shown it again. I think I was shown it again. I'm going to say this because it's time for me to no longer identify with this group. I don't call myself Black, but literally, I need to renounce this particular group called Black Americans. I'm not trying to have all this self-hate that people want to call it. Or you got self-hate. Or you don't want to be Black. No, you don't. No, you don't want to be Black. Because when did you become Black? When did Black start? And I don't care about Kemet and the land of the Blacks, because that's when these group of people, whoever, the government, whoever it is, or the CIA, who decide to classify this group of people, calling them Black, they weren't thinking about the Kemetians and the land of the Blacks. I don't think they had that in mind. I think it was a lot of wizardry involved. I think it was a lot of rituals involved, and it had nothing to do with trying to get them back to Kemet. Okay, so accepting a name as black is not going to put people in the same frequency as they were in when they were in a much, I guess, higher place. I'm not sure if Kemet was higher because I hear that Kemet was probably pretty evil. So, you know, uh, and that's why I say a lot of things that people are doing. I don't want to completely blame on this third party because I have heard that Kemet was evil. I'm not a fan of Egypt either. And there's an intense hatred for women in a lot of those so-called black patriarchal societies before white patriarchy got into power. There was a lot of hatred, extreme hatred of women. So that's why I'm saying that I'm not going to blame every single thing they do on a third party messing with the mind, because the truth of the matter is there was some bad stuff, really, really terrible things happening way before. Okay, this group had a problem way before. Okay, but it have been shown, because I saw that tangled up black yard again today, and I think the message for me is that you are still tangled up with black Americans, and I'm going to deliver this message to people who can get it. Forget if somebody wants to accuse you of having self-hate. Hold on one second. Hold on.
He's got the dogs. So I'm going to take care of something.
Okay.
Okay, but he's got the dog walking right now.
Okay. I'll come right out. But anyway, I got to play with my dogs. Okay, the secret is out. I love dogs. But anyway, it's time to disconnect from black people. I was shown that I'm still tangled to black people. Black people are gone. Black Americans are done. I'm going to say it 3 times like Umar Johnson always do. Black Americans are done. Black Americans are done. Black Americans are done. And I was shown to disconnect myself from this group of people. They are finished. Now, a lot of other people are finished too. But black Americans in particular, because I'm not showing anything about Africans. I ain't got nothing to do with what's going on in Africa. I just really don't have nothing to do with that. But black Americans are done. And that's it. I'll talk later.